Hey everyone, I'm Steph Munzendahl with the City of Asheville, and I'm just one of many city staff that has worked with you over the past decade or so to help transform the River Arts District to a place that is more like what you have envisioned. I want to first start out by recognizing that we do have some elected officials in the room. So State Senator Julie Mayfield, thank you for coming. Also, Councilwoman Gwen Whistler and our Mayor of Asheville, Esther Mannheimer. If I've missed anyone, please somebody just put that in the chat. Let folks know who's here and representing them. I appreciate it. So today is all about gratitude. Whether we roll, walk, paddle, wheel, or run through the River Arts District, we're doing it in the footsteps and through the work of others. The deep history of this area is filled with stories that we still need to uncover and tell. Very significantly, this land was managed and protected for thousands of years by the Cherokees and their ancestors. So as we move forward, we ask you today to not forget our complex history and to embrace the river and our transportation network as a thread through time, creativity, and industry that serves to connect all of us. We're going to pause here for just 5 seconds and ask everyone to set a silent intention for our community's future. Or you can use that time to decide for yourself what you're most grateful for today. And those of you that are willing to share, you can go ahead and put that in the chat. So 5 seconds. Thanks, everybody. I'm really excited to share that we have our own house band today. So let's give it to them and have them kick this hour of gratitude off in a joyous way. That was great, right? Okay. So yeah, Asheville has a wealth of extremely talented musicians and other creative folks. And we were lucky to get producer Jessica Thomason to put a fabulous band together. And if you saw, the credits are in the chat. So thanks everybody for that. We're going to hear from them a little bit later. So let's keep the love train going and hear from somebody that loves Asheville oh so very much. That is our mayor, Esther Mannheimer. She takes the heat for things that she never said or did. She's fair and kind, and she's also forthright and frank, especially through her acerbic wit. So I am very grateful for her as our mayor, and we're going to ask her to come on stage right now and say some words for us.
Okay. Oh, all right. Thanks, Steph, for that introduction. And it is my pleasure to be here. My dog did not even wake up during the band performance, but I know he was listening to it in his sleep. So it is my pleasure to do this. Yesterday, we kicked off things in person down in the River Arts District, and today we're here with you virtually in this really cool Remo format. So I'm just going to say a few words to you and in celebration. This is really an exciting moment for our city. And as I said yesterday, I cannot believe we're here. It was in 2014 that I was standing in a dirt lot with then Secretary Anthony Fox, Secretary of Transportation under President Obama. And we were celebrating the grant that we were receiving from the federal government for the project. So here we are so many years later. And speaking of partners, not just the federal government that helped us, we have many partners. And along the way, we had that include the state government, the Tourism Development Authority, and of course, the people of Asheville. But this project also folds in partners from Asheville's entrepreneurial sector, our not-for-profits, our local artists, our shop owners, our brewers, and beyond. As a community, we have invested in the RAD because of the incredible potential now realized to create an amazing place that we can all enjoy. Since this project has started, what's happened? Well, let's take a look back. From 2010 to 2020, we went from having one river recreation business to 5. We went from 3 restaurants or a coffee shop none of them serving dinner, to 15 restaurants, coffee or tea, or with 9 serving dinner. We went from 140 artists in 16 buildings to over 250 artists in 19 buildings. And we went from 1 lonely brewery and 1 bar to 3 breweries. And I think that's about to be 4. And of course, we now have a couple of wine bars too. In addition, in the past 10 years or so, through numerous partnerships, we've done some important things, like pay for environmental assessments on dozens of acres of brownfield sites to make sure the RAD would be safe for people. We've removed fencing on almost 5 acres of public space and connected it to the Gene Webb Park through the creation of the 13 Bones pedestrian bridge. We've used grant funds to create the Riverside Drive development plan and alternatives to gentrification study, which eventually led to the creation of the Asheville Buncombe Community Land Trust and a new form-based code overlay for the RAD. We created a new Greenway trailhead, Greenway section, and bike and ped-friendly Craven Street on the west side of the river. We renovated 1,200 square feet of historic office warehouse at 14 Riverside Drive, now 8 River Arts Place. And now with the completion of RADTIP, the public has 9 acres of open space featuring wetlands, swings, benches, and more trees than were here when we started. A safe road network with 2 more miles of Greenway and Asheville's first ever protected bike lanes. Yay! And while we're celebrating the RADTIP's completion today, there are still some great things coming in and around this area. We'll be constructing the French Broad River Greenway West Side connector this summer, and in the fall we'll be constructing Nasty Branch Greenway in the South Side neighborhood. And also this fall we'll be hiring several artists to create a mural, a community table, and a playful musical art piece along the newly named Wilma Dykeman Greenway. So this is really exciting. What's to come, what's already happened and what's to come. But before I close out, let me thank one more group of people for making all this possible, and that's your city staff. Let's give them a big round of applause because they have invested so much energy, heart, and soul into making this a reality. And you can plainly see it when you're down there. So thank you, staff. This is exciting and there's more to come and to celebrate. And I want to now turn it over to fellow woman Gwen Whistler and also to a woman about town, Claudia Nix.
Hi, everybody. This is Lucy Crown. I am the Greenway Planner for the city of Asheville. On March 23rd, Council officially named this new section of Greenway the Wilma Dykeman Greenway. It's our first phase. We will be working on the second phase, the last mile of which will connect with the county's Greenway starting this year. And yesterday we had a great celebration. I'd like to show you a little clip. That was the Asheville High Jazz Band, by the way, that gave us the great music yesterday. So Wilma Dykeman was quite a force. She was a celebrated author and a fantastic environmentalist and a warrior for civil rights. But why listen to me when you can hear it straight from someone who knows her best of all, her son, Jim Stokely.
It's great to hear from Jim Stokely, right? So thanks, everyone. I need to share something with you. Literally, I need to share something with you. For the past month, let's see, we're going to do a tab here. For the past month, the Asheville, as Office of Sustainability, has been collaborating with us to host this French Broad River art exhibition. And so they accepted submissions from anyone in the community up until last week to do an online public art gallery. So you could submit a picture of or a written prose poetry of any work that was inspired by the French Broad River. And they've got 40 submissions, which is really cool. And they were very excited to work with us in really our public art program. So we had 3 winners that are each going to get $100 honorariums for their work. And they're very interesting and cool pieces. The first one is an oil painting by Anne Marie Brown, and it's called French Broad Rushing. And when folks saw this, people were actually talking about how they think they know exactly where this location is and how it evoked a lot of feelings in people about this connection to a specific place. This next one is very whimsical, and it's by UNC Asheville student Molly Skanga, and it's called French Onion Broad. She even has a little story that goes along with it. But I want to get right to the meat and invite Eliana Franklin up to the stage because she won for her poetry piece, which is called Hear Me After Rain. So Eliana, can we get you up on stage? And one thing you'll have to do, hopefully you're here. I think you are. One thing you'll have to do is to turn your camera and mic on. Awesome. Thank you so much for coming today.
Yeah, thank you for having me here.
Great. I'm going to let you have at it. You ready?
Yes. So this poem is called Hear Me After Rain, and I wrote it while standing in front of the French Broad River in Carrier Park, and it was on a day after it flooded. So the poem was inspired by the flooding that occurred after the rain the day before. So today the French Broad gleams and glistens twice its usual size. The path ahead gone, filled and spilling over with ripples and waves. I kneel in the soaked grass, breathing in the scent of soil, letting the mud touch my knees. A fallen tree, black and broken in the rush, dances on the choppy waters. A tiny leaf catches in the circling drops and disappears as if it was never here in the first place. 2 oaks cling to an island amid the overflow. Their interlocking branches curl across the spiraling surge. I am a dot on the horizon beside a tumultuous sea, a little girl out here trying to write poetry, but the river has spoken for itself. Its voice echoes in every crest of water, across every street washed over. I am here, says the river, hear me, I am here. And that was it for the poem.
Thank you so much, Eliana. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay, we're going to take a couple minutes breaks with our band. Thanks, house band. It's fantastic. Okay, so this is the part where we are going to shout out and do some thank yous all over the place. So first, if you were here and you worked on this project, and there's about a 99% chance that if you're here, you worked on the project, I think I'm asking you right now to put it out there in the chat what your role was on the project. Even if you were like, I attended a meeting and gave public input, and you think that you didn't work on the project, you did. So go ahead and let people know how you're connected to everything that's going on. We kicked this project off, just the RADTIP, not all the other stuff that we did in the River Arts District, but just the RADTIP off in May 2010. And the person who kicked that project off with us was, hey, Judy.
Hey.
Might want to come up a little later, but you're on stage. The person that helped us kick that project off was Ms. Karen Craig Nolan. So our first thank you is to Karen Craig Nolan and the many board members and staff of Riverlink throughout the years who have really supported the creation of the Wilma Dykeman Plan and championing that and many other pieces that have made all of this possible. Next group of folks that need a big shout out, because they are huge, are all the artists in the River Arts District that have made this space a creative space. So especially people who took the big chances and risks early on, like Porge Buck, Kevin Hogan, Brian and Gil McCarthy, and Patty Turno, and about 25 other people that I wish I could list, but I'm not. Thank you. Thank you. But definitely including the 250 artists that are there today and that are making it happen now more than ever. And their co-businesses in the area for creative commerce, and all the residential neighbors that have been attending these meetings and providing the community input that's been very fabulous. Also, our advisory boards, of course. So there's so many designers and planners and engineers that have worked on this project. Just to name some, we've got Land Design, Site Design Studios, CDM Smith, our construction contractors, Beverly Grant Barnhill and Tanoka and SEPI. There's, of course, a bevy of local and state agencies that did permitting with us. That alone was probably a year of work. So thank you to all of those people. There are 100 people who helped design this project. I get to say a special thank you from the bottom of my heart to folks at the EPA, especially Region 4 here. The EPA really helped us connect the dots from the very beginning and served to try to help this community, not just through this project, but through a lot of projects a decade or so ago. And there are two folks that are here today that I get to shout out to, and that is Ann Keller and Camilla Warren. Thank you, both of you. You're inspiration to me. Now we're going to bring up our awesome funders who got to put some skin in the game and really make this happen. So I'm going to start by asking Deputy Director of North Carolina Land and Water Fund, Will Summer, and also Mavis Gregg from the North Carolina Parks and Recreation Trust Fund to come up on stage with me. And Judy Francis, if you want to come up on stage, she's a killer friend that has been, from the very beginning, has been helping us. So if you guys want to come up on stage, I would love to get you guys to chat for a second and tell us how your agencies work with communities like ours. While we're waiting for Mavis and or Judy, Will, do you want to go ahead and chat?
Absolutely, thank you. It's really wonderful to have the opportunity today, and I'm used to following engaging speakers and folks that are passionate about the community, but the band and the poetry, it's too much. It's fantastic. So what a wonderful event. So I'm Will Summer, and I'm the Deputy Director with the North Carolina Land and Water Fund. If the name sounds unfamiliar to you, that may be with good reason. Very recently, we changed our name from the Clean Water Management Trust Fund to the North Carolina Land and Water Fund. We're still the same organization we've been for the last 25 years, but we feel that this name better reflects the work we do as a whole. So in addition to work that focuses on water quality, such as the innovative stormwater projects like the one here in the River Arts District, or stream and wetland restorations like those you can see across the river on the New Belgium campus, or planning efforts like the Central Asheville Watershed Restoration Plan, which was funded in partnership with the Pigeon River Fund, RiverLink, and the City of Asheville, or projects that protect drinking water supplies like the Woodfin Watershed. The North Carolina Land and Water Fund also funds projects that protect land for natural, historic, and cultural resources, like projects in the Roan Highlands, Sandy Mush, or Bear Wallow that you may all be familiar with. The River Arts District Transportation Improvement Project is so much more than the name implies, and the partnerships on display here today really underscore that. You know, it doesn't simply improve traffic flow, it creates a walkable, bikeable, livable, sustainable landscape that serves the community and the visitors. We're thrilled to be a part of this forward-thinking project. With the final touches being put on everything and the stormwater features in the ground, the work that our organization funded can really begin in earnest. The stormwater ponds are already doing their part, reducing runoff and improving stormwater quality. And what we hope to accomplish with our funding, working with the City of Asheville and researchers from NC State, is to use these stormwater wetlands as a real-world laboratory to test soil amendments that we hope can trap even more pollutants and further improve the water quality of the French Broad. And if it's successful, the data collected on this site can be used to support these innovations at other sites in North Carolina and perhaps the country. So, I mean, that's a lot of impact for a traffic improvement project, I think. So we're excited to see this project come together, glad to be a part of it, and really looking forward to its future. So thank you again for your time and including us in this.
That's fantastic. Thank you so much. Chairwoman Gregg, we're so glad that you're here with us. Can we hear from you a little bit?
Yes, thank you for having me. I'm Mavis Gregg. I'm of the North Carolina Parks and Recreation Authority, and I'm very excited to be here virtually from Durham, but I grew up in Black Mountain, and Western North Carolina is my home, so I'm very happy to be here and very excited about this project. I want to thank the City of Asheville for the invitation to attend the opening, and I also want to thank our Julie Mayfield, Esther Mannheimer, Gwen Whistler, thank you so much for your support in making this happen, and everyone else that was involved. I think this is an awesome project, and it's clear that this was a community-led effort. If you aren't familiar with the Parks and Rec Authority, I want to share a little bit about us. In 1994, the North Carolina General Assembly made environmental history with the creation of the Parks and Recreation Trust Fund, the first fund dedicated to improving quality of life in North Carolina through the preservation of natural resources and the development of public parks and recreational facilities. And I'd like to thank the members of the General Assembly for their support and passage of the North Carolina Parks and Recreation Trust Fund. And on behalf of the Parks and Recreation Authority, I want to congratulate the City of Asheville for looking to the future, for making RADTIP, and for working to make the community a better place for its citizens and prosper. We are pleased to be a part of this exciting project and look forward to working with you as you strive to improve parks and recreation in the City of Asheville. So thank you very much. And congratulations.
Oh, thank you, Mavis. It's fantastic. People have been out and using this, and I can't wait for you to come and see it. So we are going to move on to another group of people from North Carolina agency now. So we're going to have Steve Cannon, who's a project development engineer with NCDOT, and Tristan Winkler, who's the director of the French Broad River Metropolitan Planning Organization. I got all these things I have to say. Come on down, guys. And Tristan, we're going to start with you. Appreciate you coming.
Cool. Thanks for having us. Thank you, Steph. Yeah, my name's Tristan Winkler. I'm the director of the French Broad River Metropolitan Planning Organization, or MPO for short. A lot of what we do around the region is working with our local governments to develop long-range visions and prioritize projects. So in our role, it can very often be frustrating and disheartening for things to feel like they take forever or they might not ever happen. Looking back at my notes for this, it was in 2013 that the MPO designated the RADTIP as the region's #1 priority. But it's now that we have a project on the ground and has been well utilized since before construction was completed. I won't lie, I was one of those people that was out there. And really, I think just looking at it over the years, that's all due to the tireless work of the local advocates, the local leaders, the numerous people on city council that have helped push this, as well as the more than exceptional work that has been done by city staff. So as a resident, as well as someone who works on regional transportation, I am absolutely thrilled by the addition of this project. And as someone who is required to look further out, I am also very excited about what's coming later with Greenway connections, reaching up to Woodfin, with additional projects working with NCDOT to add these connections that'll take us down the Swannanoa into East Asheville. And so I could not be more excited. We look forward to continuing to work with the Asheville community on developing a fantastic future. And again, thank you for having us.
We appreciate all your help with all of our transportation and planning projects. Thank you, Tristan. So unfortunately, Steve Cannon, he told me he was having tech issues, so he's not going to be here, but I can just say that NCDOT has been a lot of help in coordination. And we also did get a grant through NCDOT to help with our right-of-way acquisition, which was a really important piece of this project. But at this time, we're going to bring up Vic Isley. So she's new in town, but she's already rocking and rolling. So Vic is the president and CEO of the Buncombe County Tourism Development Authority. And they were a critical piece of this project for many years. And we're so happy to have you here. Vic, take it away.
Well, thank you so much. I'm Vic Isley, President and CEO of Explore Asheville and the Buncombe County Tourism Development Authority. On behalf of the board and our entire team, we are really proud to be community partners on such an important project for Asheville, its residents, and visitors alike. I have to say personally, as a woman, it's so inspiring that the name and spirit of pioneer Wilma Dykeman is part of this collaborative effort. Her career took her far and wide, and she experienced the power of travel in spreading her love of the mountains, river, and the environment. Through grants funded by occupancy tax from hotels and short-term rentals that's paid by visitors, the Tourism Development Authority contributed more than $7 million to help create these shared spaces along the French Broad River in the River Arts District. The team also invested more than $250,000 in neighborhood wayfinding signage. These are helping spread the benefits of tourism throughout our community and creating more opportunities for all to win through tourism. The River Arts District and the Wilma Dykeman Greenway will enhance the quality of life for our residents and the overall visitor experience for our guests. It's a place to connect with nature and with each other, which it was so great to do in person yesterday in 3D. But that connection with nature and with human beings, after all, that's what travel is all about. So we're so happy to play a supporting role in making this a reality, and would just like to thank all of the individuals who made this possible. Can't wait to go out and experience it again.
Thank you so much, Vic. And thanks to all of your team, because there's a lot of people that have worked with us for a long time. Really appreciate it. Great.
Appreciate you.
Next, we are going to hear from Aaron Williams. Aaron has been with us not for the longest time, but in a really deep way the last few years. So we appreciate him being here today. He works under the U.S. Department of Transportation as a transportation engineer for Federal Highway Administration in the North Carolina Division Office.
Thank you, Stephanie. I appreciate it. It is my pleasure to be here today with you guys on behalf of the Federal Highway Administration. Our Division Administrator, John Sullivan, sends his regards and his congratulations on the project. He could not be here today, unfortunately. So I'll be saying a few words in his place, just to talk a little bit about what it is and the work that we do from Federal Highway. The Eastern Riverway Multimodal Network project was our first direct recipient project using Tiger Grant funding in the state of North Carolina. Projects like this help local workers and residents alike, without question. But they are more than that. This project provides convenient transportation choices to the citizens around the River Arts District, whether it's walking, bicycling, or driving. Our partners at the City of Asheville have done an awesome job at improving the quality of life for those in neighboring community. The project we celebrate today will help connect thousands of people to jobs and other opportunities. Infrastructure is a high priority for us nationwide. We believe it is the foundation of economic growth, competitiveness, and job creation. The need for infrastructure improvement is clear and is growing day by day. And not just infrastructure, but safe infrastructure. Safety is our top priority and one of our strategic goals at the Federal Highway Administration. This project improves pedestrian and bicycle safety by adding new multimodal facilities and separating the motorists from the non-motorists. The project also improves intersection safety by replacing traditional non-signalized intersections with roundabouts. These improvements align perfectly with our vision for a safer transportation network. The Tiger program, now called the RAISE program, or Rebuilding America Infrastructure with Sustainability and Equity, is one of many resources for states and localities to make the improvements needed to meet the demands in the coming decades. This project relied on Tiger funds, and it demonstrates the importance of cooperation between the federal government and the local government. Local government is a natural partner in infrastructure. Counties own and maintain about 46% of our nation's public roads and also about 38% of its bridges. Last thing I would like to say is it has been a true pleasure working with the City of Asheville to develop and implement such a historic and well-needed multimodal network project. We look forward to helping the city of Asheville build its future and share your pride in this great project. So from Federal Highway Administration, congratulations to you all.
Thank you, Aaron. Really appreciate it. So many of you have had a few tech issues here today. We've got one tech issue with our last speaker. He is connected via phone, but he's not sure if that we can see or hear him. So I'd ask Ed or Lucy, who are helping out here, to see if they could see a personal phone with a 202 area code. And this is Mr. Charles Small, who is the Deputy Secretary of Transportation's Intergovernmental Affairs Office. So we, Deputy Assistant Secretary of Intergovernmental Affairs from USDOT. And I was so hoping we could get him on here. I'll say this about him. I'm excited that somebody from that office was wanting to come and speak to us today. Mr. Small in particular has a lot of experience with cities. He worked with the city of Los Angeles for many years to advance transportation funding for infrastructure in that area. So he understands what we go through as a city. Any shot at seeing? Yeah, I think that there's not a way. It looks like Mr. Small. Yeah, we're not able to. We don't see you via phone, although we are super glad that you're here. We don't actually have a way to patch you in via phone. So we apologize for that, but really thank you for coming and for and trying to do some comments. We're sorry then that you couldn't get on today. He mentioned a firewall issue, which I think a few of you also had as well. So I want to be conscientious because our hour actually is up and I have all these other cool things lined up, these videos of people from the community and what to do. So I think one thing that would be really great if we could wrap it up in this way is to just say, don't forget that we have some awesome events that are happening all month long. And you can go to ashevillennc.gov/river and go to the calendar there, and it'll be changing and updated every week. You can go to that and find out something cool to do. Rain may interfere with this Saturday's thing, which is a wreck and roll in the afternoon that will be at the north end of Greenway Park. But next week is going to be fantastic. On Thursday afternoon, it's the first night of the pop-up Bike Skills Park by Asheville on Bikes. So go to that website, ashevillennc.gov/river, to find out more information. And for those of you that can stick around, we're going to do two things. I think let's go ahead. I want to play Helene Green's video. She's the owner of Riverview Station, co-owner of Riverview Station, and she has a thank you that to me kind of sums everything up. So it will be a really great summary. And then after Helene's video, we're going to have one last song by our band to take us out. So I thank everybody for coming today and really appreciate everyone's participation in this event, but really just in the community, and we'll need you moving forward. Onward. How appropriate was that? It was fantastic. And for those of you that stuck with us to the very end, thank you so much. Wahoo! Charles Small is here from USDOT. He is the Deputy Assistant Secretary of Intergovernmental Affairs. We're so happy that you finally made it, and we're appreciative of you coming and sharing some words with us today.
Thank you, Stephanie, and apologies for the technical difficulties, and a big shout out to some folks on from FHWA who reminded me that to turn off my VPN, which would solve the firewall issue that I was having here on our very hack-proof laptops that we have here at USDOT. But this is really, really great. And I do want to say at the top, the secretary sends his apologies that he couldn't on this virtual gathering. He's actually headed to a meeting, I believe, over at the White House, and the timing just didn't quite work. I literally just got off a virtual meeting with him where we were briefing him ahead of that, not 10 minutes ago. So he does send his apologies, but I do know we will be making it down to North Carolina at some point soon, and I know at some point either myself or the secretary or other DOT officials will come to Asheville. We've already heard that there are some interesting issues with I-26 in Asheville that will be in need of our attention. So I will be glad to work with you, Stephanie, and the rest of the community and the leadership in Asheville to look at these issues and address them as we can in USDOT. Just really, really great to be invited to the celebration of the River Arts District Transportation Improvement Project. I know how critical urban space along the river can be. Here where I'm sitting in McPherson Square, not too far away from the White House, we have a lot of new great projects along our rivers, the Anacostia and the Potomac here in Washington, and that opening of space is just so critical. And I know that one of the things with this particular project was really to try to take an area of the city that was unsafe and really prioritize safety, especially for pedestrians and bicyclists. And that is something that is near and dear to the Secretary's heart. He has been known to literally bike from the Oval Office to Washington, D.C., to DOT headquarters here in D.C. And as an avid bicyclist, bike safety is very, very, very close and near and dear to his heart. And obviously, our first priority as a department is safety and making sure that people get to where they go safely. It's literally inscribed as the first operating initiative in our mission statement as USDOT. So it was really great to learn about how this particular build grant provided safety. I do want to recognize who I know was influential in getting this grant. We are the build program has now actually been rechristened by this USDOT. So I guess it was a Tiger when you guys got it. It was built in the previous administration. Now it is called the RAISE grant, which stands for Rebuilding American Infrastructure with Sustainability and Equity. And sustainability and equity are really the two key drivers of the Biden-Harris administration, not only within the U.S. Department of Transportation, but with the entire approach of what we do. Obviously, you've probably seen a lot about climate and sustainability over the past couple of days with the Climate Leader Summit that the hosted. But I do really want to actually focus in on the equity piece here, because I know the city of Asheville is also a strong leader on equity, particularly with the work that you've done on reparations. And that is something that particularly in the wake of this week and the ending of the trial, Derek Chauvin up in Minneapolis, something that we can all reflect on, that we are steadily seeing the building blocks at large in our society, and also with what we're trying to do as a department to getting to that place of truly having an equal society for all of us, regardless of our skin color or sexual orientation or religious creed. So we are I was really excited today when I learned that I was going to be speaking to some folks from Asheville, particularly on this reparations point, because you guys are doing some of the most interesting work on that particular subject in the country. But just to turn this back to transportation a little bit, I would be not doing my job if I didn't highlight and go back a little bit to the safety aspect of this. The president earlier this month, or actually wasn't quite this month, it was actually the last day of March, but it feels like this month. The president proposed the American Jobs Plan. And the American Jobs Plan is really meant to be a one-time investment to really boost up our transportation infrastructure and make it competitive in all sectors around the globe. And one of the things I did want to highlight with the American Jobs Plan, and one thing that I think would be important for the city of Asheville as you guys continue to develop, and I have not been to the city, but I have tons of friends who have been. I have a friend who lives in Hendersonville, who I was texting with earlier this morning and was telling me a little bit about some of the great things that this project will bring. But I do want to say one of our intentions is trying to figure out how do we get local funds directly to cities, especially around safety. And that is something that I know is going to be really, really critical to winning the support for cities for this plan around the country. And we just want to work with you very, very closely to make sure that we're able to get those dollars down so that cities can use them in a unique way to meet their transportation needs. So again, just really, really great to be here. Thank you, Stephanie, for bearing with me through my lack of tech savvy. But I just really want to bring you guys greetings. It is the intention of the department and the intention of the secretary. He says this all the time. He said this earlier in a hearing this week, that he wants to ensure that cities of all sizes, especially those that don't have the ability to have a professional federal affairs staff, on and navigate the department, and that's what I'm here for. I'm here to be that guide. So happy to work with you guys on whatever projects are coming your way and coming down the pike, and I look forward to deepening our relationship with the city over this coming years and months. So Stephanie, I'll turn this back over to you, and I'm happy to take a question or two if that is helpful.
I appreciate that. If you would stick around for just a minute. Deputy Assistant Secretary Small. I just wanted to note that you really should connect, if you haven't already, with our city manager, Deborah Campbell. You brought up reparations. She's really leading this charge and putting together a very thoughtful and process. This is a very complex issue. So speaking about I-26 and also about that issue, I'm sure that connecting you to her and to some other folks will be fantastic in the future. So yeah, I think that if someone has a question, we do have a Q&A section of the chat. People can pop that in. But I'll just start off there to say, I mentioned earlier that you have pretty considerable experience with understanding the needs of cities, your work in Los Angeles, but other places, but in particular. So are you, it sounded like this, am I reading this correctly, that you feel like this, the administration and the staff moving forward, they're really going to have a better understanding of those needs, and also of urban areas, which include things like equity, but also how we connect them to our rural partners?
No, absolutely. I mean, look, I don't know if this has really happened before, but you have the two top officials of USDOT in Secretary Mayor Pete, as a lot of folks like to call him, as the top official, and our Deputy Secretary Paula Trottenberg, who's also a local official, having just spent 7 years running New York City's transportation system. So the focus on working with locals it really starts all the way from the top. And Stephanie, you referenced my background working with the city of Los Angeles. That makes it also personal to me as well, to try to ensure that the issues on safety, the issues on direct funding, the issues also around innovation, whether that is crazy things like automated vehicles, or I have taken a lot of meetings on urban air mobility, which is a crazy concept that might come to life in the next couple of years. But all these things that cities really, really care about, you are going to have a very, very willing ear and a very, very willing staff here at USDOT to try to make sure that cities can meet the challenges of their respective economies, and also a true desire to work with you on trying to build those projects and construct those projects that are really going to be transformational to your community. So I'm really excited. I have a goal of trying to talk to all 19,000 cities and towns across the country while during my tenure. I'm not sure I'm gonna make it, but I'm doing my little bit each and every week, and I'm glad to. While I can check Asheville off, this will certainly not be the last time you'll be hearing directly from me or the department.
All right. Absolutely. Thank you. So I know we have a couple of people here, including like Dan Bechtold and Lucy Crown and Tristan Winkler, folks that work in transportation specifically. I'm just looking to any of them. If they have any questions, they can pop them into the Q&A. And I think I'm kind of hogging this a little bit, but I actually wanted to ask you something personal, because I think that since we do have so many, this is like a transportation fan town. Asheville is like a very, like, we love the multimodal. We love the, so there's a lot of people who are doing advocacy work, and then there's a lot of people who are doing technical and professional work and as well. Why did you want to work for the federal government?
Sure.
If you would.
I've been fortunate in my career to work at every level of government, whether it's state government. I spent 5 years working for the state of New York and the governor, and also the federal government. This is my second tour in an administration. I spent the first year and a half of the Barack Obama presidency with President Obama, working at the Office of the U.S. Trade Representative, which is also a very, very personal and distinct highlight. I think, and I'll say this, working for a city, I think the Secretary says this too, it's really the best job you can ever have, because you can really see and really have the ability to affect change rapidly and quickly. But for me, I think there were two things. Number one, having always been a fan of the president since I first met him on an intern day, which is a bit of a longer story about how that happened. But when I was a young staffer, he allowed me to crash an intern day of his when I was working in the U.S. Senate, and I've been a fan of President Biden now President Biden ever since. But also too, just having sat on the front lines of what happened to this country over the last 4 years, whether it was what was going on culturally, what was going on from a government perspective, and obviously all of that being exacerbated or exposed by the pandemic. I really felt called to try to see if I could take my knowledge base and add it to the team, the great team that we built around the secretary at DOT, to really try to affect change at a national level. We're at an incredibly unique moment in our history, in the world history. After every pandemic, the world has always changed, and to be part of that moment, to try to change it for the better, was a wonderful opportunity. I'm blessed and honored to work for this president, and hopefully we can do our best, especially if we're able to get a jobs plan to help the country and also help the world. So I'm really excited to be working here, and we'll see how it goes over the next couple months.
All right. Well, we've got this one last question for you. We did host President Barack Obama here, and in the River Arts District. He happened to visit 12 Bones Barbecue, and I believe that was twice in the River Arts District. It might have been that he went once in the River Arts District and somebody else helped him out in South Asheville at some point. The bottom line is, when you do come to town, and this is a question we can work with our partners at the Tourism Development Authority on. When you come and you visit, what are a couple things that you like that we can think about so we can spend a day with you in the River Arts District?
Oh, wow. Certainly, obviously, you hear a lot of great things about North Carolina barbecue. So barbecue would definitely be high on my list. But to keep it maybe a bit more transportation focused, I would personally be interested in trying to learn more about your city's efforts on sustainability and fighting climate change. Having, during the middle of this pandemic, I was blessed enough, my wife and I, we had our first kid, and which I think really conceptualizes or really narrows your focus on like what issues do you need to do to make sure that she grows in the best world that she can grow up in. And for me, on a personal level, trying to solve this existential crisis of climate is something that I grapple with every day as an individual, but also every day as a professional. Trying to learn more about what you guys are doing on electrification, or I know hydrogen in some places is also very popular. Would be really great for me, and also that also means too, how do we get places, or how do we sort of conform our transportation system to be more walkable, so a car isn't the only option. And we have a unique moment in this COVID post-COVID world, where we've actually seen what our transportation system looks like when it's not congested. And so what does that mean? How do we marry that lack of congestion that we've just seen with what the new economy will be like and how it can function and thrive? We're already starting to see some really interesting projects and progress actually out in San Francisco in terms of trying to capture maybe the congestion gains that were made under the pandemic, that have allowed them to really expand transit, particularly to low-income communities, who oftentimes those communities were still riding buses at a high level. They were still taking the subway on a high level because they were essential workers, and that was the only way they could get to work. So we are really at an incredible moment. Maybe something that hasn't happened in 20, 30, 40 years. I will also note the composition of Congress. A transportation bill has always been passed either in divided government or with Republicans at the helm. I think it's been almost 30 or 40 years where you've had a Democratic House, a Democratic Senate, and a Democratic White House, and a transportation bill up for expiration. So personally, this is also an interesting moment for us from that perspective as well. And so just getting back to sustainability, how we are able to take what cities are doing and put it in our work on sustainability here at the national level is going to be so critical. And so that's what I'd love to see.
And we are going to make that happen for you 100%. It sounds like we're all going to have a fascinating conversation between our Office of Sustainability and a bunch of other different partners. We have some people in the district that you'll want to speak to as well that are doing cool things. Thank you so much for rounding out our grand opening celebration for the RADTIP. I think we couldn't be more excited that you were able to come and that we were able to end on this high note.
Awesome. Well, I'm glad to close it out. And Stephanie, I look forward to meeting you very soon in Asheville. And of course, if you all come to DC, we don't have good a barbecue as you guys do down in North Carolina, but there are a couple other food joints I can take you to that I think would meet your fancy. Okay,
that sounds fantastic. Thank you. And thank you everyone for coming. Take care. Have a wonderful day. Enjoy your weekend. We're going to get rain tomorrow, but it's looking great after that. And we need the rain. Take care.